Good evening from New York. This is Wednesday, November 10th, 727 days until the 2012 presidential elections. But it is far from clear that President Obama would want to run on the recommendations released this afternoon from his hand-picked chairman of the National Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform, which he created as an end run around congressional inability to curb out-of-control debt. And in our fifth story tonight, those two chairmen recommend that the solution to America's debt, caused by a bogus war, a decade of Bush tax cuts for the rich, soaring profit-taking by healthcare and insurance companies, and the deep recession caused by letting banks bet our money on the global casino. The solution to all that is to make working Americans work harder and longer and for less. The chairman, former Senator Alan Simpson, and former Clinton Chief of Staff Erskine Bowles called today's draft a starting point for discussion. Simpson joking that he and Bowles have ticked off just about everyone with skin in this game, which is everyone, because if they get their way, you won't have any skin left.
So we present this only as a guide and a directive of where we could or should go. And Erskine and I have been told where to go many times during this exercise. I can tell you how many times I've been told exactly where to go.
One more time coming up shortly. Bowles following with a considerably more somber preface to their plan.
We're on the most predictable path towards an economic crisis that I can imagine. The path we're on today is not sustainable, and I don't know a soul on this commission or anywhere else in the Congress that believes it is. The arithmetic is compelling. This debt is like a cancer that will truly destroy this country from within if we don't fix it. And we can't grow ourselves out of this problem. We could have double-digit growth for decades and not solve this problem. We can't tax our way out of this problem, and we can't cut our way out of this problem. It's going to take some combination thereof.
Among the recommended cuts, military cuts, a 15% cut in arms purchases, which would save $20 billion in 2015, reducing the number of U.S. personnel stationed in Asia and Europe by 1/3. Nothing about how many in Afghanistan. The rich and well-off would take some hits-ish. Dividends and capital gains would be taxed as regular old income instead of the 15% rate the wealthy pay now, and they can't find a loophole. The chairman recommend raising the cap on Social Security taxes, which now do not apply on income above $106,000, and Social Security would be means tested, reducing benefits for the rich. And the rest of the country? Today's kids will have to work until the age of 69 to collect Social Security. Their benefits no longer pegged to wages but inflation, which tends to be lower. They won't have the Office of Safe and Drug-Free Schools anymore. And if they make it to college, they would now have to pay interest on their student loans while they're still in school. Today's working Americans would have to pay more for gas, 18 cents per gallon. Medicaid co-pays would go up. Medicare would cut benefits and home health care. And the plan would also limit your ability to sue for malpractice. Airline tickets would cost more because the plan lets airlines pass new airline fees on to you. Unemployment will go up with the elimination of nearly 500,000 jobs, federal and contracted, over the next 10 years. The Small Business Administration would get folded into the Commerce Department, and then it would get cut by 10%. Veterans would have to fork over a copay to the VA. Corporations, meanwhile, would get a tax cut, down from 35% to 26%. The rich people who own corporations would not have their top rate returned to the 39% it was under Clinton, but under one scheme, they would get it cut down to 23%. President Obama declined to comment on the plan's specifics. Good move. Speaker Pelosi called it, quote, unacceptable. AFL-CIO President Rich Trumka said, quote, the chairman of the Deficit Commission just told working Americans to drop dead. Somewhere within that range tonight, I suspect, Congressman Anthony Weiner, the Democrat of New York, who joins us here. Good to see you, sir.
You as well.
Is anybody going to like this plan? Anybody?
Well, what's infuriating, putting aside the content, never mind, it's not a plan to reduce the deficit so much, a plan to reduce seniors and reduce the middle class and reduce anyone else. What is truly galling to me, and I saw this about 6 months ago, is this is now President Obama's commission that is going to propose essentially eliminating Social Security COLAs, cutting Medicare, cutting the home mortgage deduction, which for middle class families is really the only big one that they get any break on. And instead of waiting and seeing what the Republicans were going to offer, which is to privatize Social Security / Medicare and the like. So this is very bad. I mean, look, I don't mind the discussion about how we're going to cut deficits, but, you know, that Alan Simpson came up with a plan to reduce Social Security, well, that should not be a shock to anybody.
His point that this was a good place for a starting point for discussion sounds more like it's a good starting point for revolution. What does he expect to have happen as a result of this?
Well, I don't quite understand either. I mean, one thing is for sure is that we know, for example, we know certain things about the deficit. And you pointed out 2/3 of the deficit are in two places, the wars and the big Bush tax cut. So we're in a conversation now about how we're going to deal with that latter thing. And for one, I happen to think we should extend the tax cut from the middle class. But the problem that we have here is no one seems to be standing up for these fundamental democratic principles, Social Security, Medicare, and the like. The president, the Democratic president of the United States, appoints a commission that came up with this very predictable thing. Someone should be standing up, and I think the president should do it and say, these are democratic principles that are improving the lives of middle-class families. We're not going to eliminate them.
I'm going to talk to Howard Fineman in a moment about what the White House felt about this, which was apparently a big surprise to them, too. But explain, just summarize the problem that may not be as obvious to people about the idea of cutting Social Security as a function of bringing down the debt.
Well, first of all, Social Security ultimately is a safety net program that worked. It's worked every month, and frankly, the problems that it faces, it's true. In about 21 years from now, we are going to start having a problem with more money coming in, going out than coming in. A modest change will be able to deal with that. This notion that Social Security COLAs, cost of living adjustment, should be slashed, well, that is the one hedge that we have against seniors falling into poverty, below the poverty line. The problem is, and then with Medicare, the change they make, and the VA, that are going to have co-payments for veterans, it's just about all of these programs are the last remaining programs to help people stay in the middle class.
Right.
They want to slash them.
Do you have an overall solution that can stand up against something like this as it's proposed?
Well, you know, the thing about this is that a lot of this is not dissimilar from the plan that Paul Ryan put out, and the Republicans ran alternately from and towards. I mean, I think that the Republicans now are in a position of having to make a proposal here. Let's see what they come up with. So far, we know that their original opening is $1 trillion additional in the deficit for the Bush tax cuts. That's their opening. We know that they believe in privatizing Social Security and turning Medicare into a voucher system. So a lot of these proposals are actually the Republican proposals, but now they can wear it in the cloak of a bipartisan commission said, Democrats don't support this plan.
Does the president need to make that clear?
I think he should quickly. Frankly, I don't know why he appointed this commission. He's the president of the United States. We're Democrats. We believe in certain things. We believe in protecting Social Security, protecting Medicare. The home interest deduction is a middle-class tax cut. We support that. I don't know why you propose a commission that you knew was going to come out with stuff like this. I think someone's got to stand up for these programs, and the president should do it.
Is it possible that this is the crazy plan, and whatever he then comes up with will look much more sane by contrast? Is that the premise?
I don't know. I mean, if you look at what the Republicans are talking about doing when they take power, a lot of it is to do these things, and now it's almost like we're giving them some air cover to do it. You know, the more that this stuff gets talked about, this notion of eliminating the Social Security cost of living adjustment, making kids pay back their college loans, if you just think about it, they all fall into the same category. It's the few government programs that the middle class really catches a break from. Those are the targets today.
Congressman Anthony Weiner of New York, great thanks for coming in.
Thanks.